I'm surfing on in, finding some peace. How are you today? Are you finding your way? I'm moving and shaking and getting jiggy with it. Hi, G-Rock. How are you today? Hello, beautiful Lynn. I hope you were able to post in the group today. How are you all doing? Okay, so I'm out on another walk. It's absolutely gorgeous out. I'm talking like it's nice, so nice that I'm actually getting a little bit of a sweat on, and I'm grateful for that because it makes me feel alive. It's alive. Woo. I've got Buddy over here, my little companion. He and I are looking forward to this daily walk routine, and I'm actually tracking my mileage, and he's looking younger and fitter, and he's banana crazy. So what I thought I'd just jump on here and share a little bit was pretty much kind of expounding upon what I posted earlier regarding inner peace, and how when we find the inner peace within us, it's really reflected around us, and we really are not just the drop in the ocean, as they say. I mean, there's just so many quotes, and you've got to find your own way. I mean, we're going to ripple out. Whatever it is that's going on inside, anytime you can shift it, it's going to affect others around you. I've just been in more of a contemplative mode today. Has anybody seen the moon? I got up early and I was leading sadhana, and it was really stunning. As I was driving, I made to turn the corner, and as I looked to my left into the west where the sun was setting, basically, I noticed how big it was and how vibrant and golden, and we're coming up to a full moon, right? So I'm always at awe, just not just from the sun, but the moon, and just how much beauty is always around me when I can tap into it and hone in and be present in the moment. I mean, I'm not always there. I'm always there or there. I'm all over the place. I'm a high energy individual to begin with. My mind goes on and on and on and on. It usually doesn't stop. Hence why I listen to so much mantra. I repeat it in my head. If I can at least play a mantra around myself, versus, I love music. I've always loved music. I've always loved to dance. Can you tell? But the thing is when I'm so fixated on something that's not entraining my brain, right? We want to train our brains, keep them on the positive, on the up vibe, right? We want to up our vibes and get all sassy on, is what I like to say. When our brains are caught up in mundane, boring, insignificant, it really just takes us out of our peace. And so for me, I have to constantly be in awareness, constant mindfulness, recognizing where was I just now. It's the subtle things that I've learned in my personal experience that, for example, I was cutting years ago. I remember this so distinctly, that I was chopping vegetables, and I know my mind was just off on a tangent. Hi Kelly, hi Bush, how Candace, how are you? And because it was on a tangent, I ended up cutting myself. And it was one of those moments when I was deep in reading a lot of different things. I was reading Power versus Force by David R. Hawkins, and I had that split second like, whoa, aha, epiphany. Like, you can have an opinion, but until it's applied, it doesn't become integrated into your personal life and your experience. So you have to be clear about where is it coming from. My stuff was, I'd been reading all this stuff, but I had the aha where I saw how it played out in my life, and how the influence of my brain, how it was entrained in this craziness, took me out of my peace and caused harm to myself. And so these are the moments when I ask you if you've ever noticed this in your life. Have you ever had an experience where your mind was caught up in judgment or comparison, because judgment in comparison and discernment, they're all pretty much the same. You're comparing yourself to another or an experience or whatever. The bottom line is when we're in a judgment mode, comparison, contrast, we're not present. We're distracted. We've taken ourselves out of the moment and put ourselves outside of ourselves. It's almost like an out-of-body experience if you really want to get down to it. It's like that out-of-body experience where you're not present. Come back down into the body. We're meant to be present in the physical body. We did not come incarnated into this body to try to escape it and get out of it. Hence why most of us who have gone into the depths of despair, suffered from addictions, whether it be anything from food, drugs, alcohol, behavior patterns, it really all starts in our mind. So anytime we can take ourselves out of what we consider suffering, we're really creating more suffering in a way, depending on how you can see addiction. It really is an additional self-sabotage. Let's make the suffering worse. Distraction, avoidance, suppressing, repressing, pushing it away doesn't make it better. It makes it fester more. It creates that more dis-ease, discomfort. And so that was the question I kind of was reflecting upon. How often do you catch yourself harming yourself, physically harming yourself, to the point where you're going, oh, well, why does that keep happening? And then you get upset at yourself, right? But did you stop and think about where your thoughts were at the time it occurred? That's key. And that was my epiphany. That was my huge, aha. Not long after, I went to go take a shower after cutting my finger, chopping onions and comparing and thinking about something that had nothing to do with me, except for I was comparing myself to somebody. And it wasn't like a really horrible thought. It was just an awareness that I was saying to myself, oh, I wonder, I see that so-and-so is doing this. I could never see myself doing that. It wasn't that I was saying that they're a bad person or anything of that nature. It was really just taking me out of my own stuff and comparing. Because we do that. That's how we sometimes learn, as opposed to go through the experience. Maybe we witness another person and we can actually look at that and go, oh, I see what they're doing. I don't need to have that experience. I don't know how they could go through it. You can see it as if it's okay, but anytime you're comparing, it's really taking you out of the present moment. It's taking you out of your personal power, and it's putting you in harm's way, literally. So going back to finding the inner peace is being present in the moment. The inner peace is not being distracted by things outside of this moment. And what is it that really takes you out of the moment, that you're distracting yourself from the present? Why is it we're always trying to speed up and get somewhere else than when we are right here, right now? How about perfectionism? I'm a subscriber. When this, then that. How much stuff in your life do you put off because you feel like you just have to push through and suffer through, when you can actually find peace and gratitude in everything you do? You have to find that silver lining and really embrace it and go, you know what? Even if there's a discomfort, I can find the blessing and the comfort within it. I'm not going to diss it. I'm not going to diss the comfort that exists within the opportunity here right in front of me. I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to be with it and find the ease in the dis-ease. Find the comfort in the discomfort. Because that's what really life is about. And that's why I was saying, peace, you find it within. You can't go looking for it outside. The only way you're going to notice, recognize, and see peace outside of yourself is if you can witness and truly see and find it within you. Because that doesn't go away. It always exists. We just tend to mask it and shove it down and push it away and not actually confront and say, hey, you know what? I do have peace. I find peace in my breath. Breathe fully, right? Breathe into life. Expand the breath of your living life, right? And so I find that the more peace I'm willing to accept and find within myself, the more I'm able to hold that for everyone else around me, even when they're appearing or coming at me in what appears to be discomfort, dis-ease, confrontation. Instead of pushing that away, I'm honing in. This has been my latest real like fine-tuning. Because over this weekend, I really recognized how no matter what's going on, when you show up for yourself in this life, you're really showing up for others. You're really allowing others the opportunity and the permission to do it for themselves, to be there for themselves, to radiate what really they want to experience by starting within. When somebody sees you happy, I want some of that. Isn't that usually how it works? And I know my old story used to be, whenever I was happy, people tried to take things from me. They wanted what I had. And so I always felt like I had to be somewhat guarded and protective or possessive, right? Have you ever experienced that in your life? I know for myself, that was a very unusual. Can you all hear me well? Because I had to change up my earbuds, by the way. I literally had to change up the way I was seeing things in my life. People, places, things, stuff, right? You can't hoard. The more you're hoarding stuff, you're really releasing, you're not allowing things to come into your life. You're going to find that your stuff will create barriers around you and disallow people from entering that may be of benefit to your life or enhancement. Now I notice my lighting got all funky. So, for example, with my life, I know that if I continually hold on to things that I claim are important, I may lose out on the opportunities that show up that, I'm kind of attached. Yeah, that's what addiction is. We're attached to our belief systems and sometimes our stuff and even our experiences. And so when we do that, we're just pushing everything else outside of us away, when really you want the fluidity of allowing in and allowing out. Release the attachments and you'll find the peace within. And truly, I can relate, Kelly. Walls? Oh, honey, right? I've been hurt, so, somebody's going to have to prove themselves for them to be in my life. Prove yourself, right? How does that serve us? We all want love, but if you deny it, you can't allow it. So that game, that push-pull, it doesn't work. I've already tried it, and I think I'm done with that game. And so this is kind of like I was saying, bringing it back around, that showing up for yourself in life, that really being fully present and recognizing where your thoughts are coming from, becoming more mindful, that even if someone shows up to you and they're unhappy, they're uncomfortable, you can actually hold the space and not become part of their storm, but create a ripple of calm for them. And you'll see, especially those people you love the most, if you claim to love them, you really have to embrace every aspect of them, and that means the stuff that maybe you're kind of like, I have to deal with this. Well, usually you have to deal with that because that's also an aspect of you, or you wouldn't see it. And that's in all of us. When you see something in someone else that you want to point out, these fingers that we like to point at people, recognize those 3 fingers that are coming right back at you, baby. Because when you point one finger, you got 3 more back at you, which is just like saying, I don't want to acknowledge or confront me, but I'll point you out. Now, that doesn't serve anybody. So when you do point something out in someone else, please be humble enough to go, oh, yikes, right? I don't bite the bait when people try to get you to react. Well, if there is a trigger that comes up, Dial, what I've learned in my life, that's an opportunity for me to see it and go, oh, wait a minute, maybe I did bite. Maybe I did bite the bait. I got bitten once, twice shy, right? Once bitten, twice shy. I was a big Def Leppard fan. If I did bite the bait, let's say, at least if I'm able to recognize my pattern, that there was, man, it's noisy, huh? That there was something still in me that created my discomfort and trigger reaction, then I can actually go back and go, ooh, I can work through this. Because the awareness and the mindfulness and the seeing it for what it is allows, at least in my case, allows me the opportunity to shift it, to change it, to rewrite it, to heal it. And every time it comes up, it's less and less of a resistance or struggle or reactionary thing bubbling up in me. And I find more peace now. And I feel like it happened over this past weekend, especially, over the past week at least, that no matter what has been going on around me, I'm just, what matters most is happiness. And if I'm happy here in the moment, I'm not going to worry about what's going to happen in the future and what's in the past. It happens, it goes through waves. And I was reflecting in the yoga teacher training this weekend that we go through cycles, right? If you look at the cycles of spiritual evolution and growth, where we're going through trying to achieve enlightenment, which we all get glimpses at every once in a while, as our cycles of life occur. We're not immune. Nobody is going to not be somewhat enlightened or see a glimpse of what that really is like for them. Everybody's going to see it differently because we have those filters, beliefs, and experiences that come with it. But you don't have to label that either. You just have to recognize, this is a moment where, in my case, over the past several months, I was going through waves of, I don't know what I want out of life. Am I really doing the right things? Blah, 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 blah. Like my head was going so crazy, even the mantra wasn't keeping it quiet, if that says anything. And that was a struggle for me. And we call that Shakti Pod. That's where you're literally going, you're at the make or break point. You're either going to find the calm and you're not going to allow it to take you out, or you're going to run and you're just going to keep repeating the lessons, and the triggers are going to come up and your peace will be disturbed continuously because you're not seeing it. And it's a little bit of an ego thing too. Listen to me. It's a total ego thing, because the ego wants to say, I don't need to go through this anymore. It's like a spiritual ego issue that comes up. And so when you confront it at any point in your life, we're all at different stages in our evolution and our growth, and we're all pretty much going to the same destination. You can't deny that. The difference is that maybe we have disagreements upon what it is we want it to look like, or the path to be, or, we want perfect conditions around us, right? Back to the perfectionism. So I'm a perfectionist at heart. I know that. I grew up, trying to control my external circumstances because of the traumas of my internal and the experiences I had as a young child. As a result of feeling out of control of what happened over those years, I had to find coping mechanisms. Well, if I could control my external environment, if I could, clean the room. Like for me, meditation was cleaning, running, doing, just keeping busy, right? Busyness is another way to distract you from the traumas and the BS, right? So don't let that take you out of the peace that really... Peace, P-E-A-C-E. Don't let pieces, P-I-E-C-E-S, take you out of your peace. It was really easy for me to jump in on the perfectionism. It's a Harley riding day, y'all. I'm sorry. That I can't apologize for. God bless them. If I was a motorcycle rider, I'd be out on the bike too. Right? It's those moments when you catch yourself in the perfectionism that it's taken you out of the peace of the moment. I know I like things tidy. I like things a certain way. But every once in a while, even I have to go, is this going to serve me right now? Nah, I can deal with it later. And I have these glimmers and glimpses and insights that make me feel so much better. Thank you, Kelly. I appreciate you. it makes me feel better that I'm seeing my own personal evolution, my own personal growth, just through seeing how I used to respond or react to something and how I'm taking it back a notch and going, I choose to be happy. I'm not choosing to be perfect. Because when you're too perfect, when you're trying to be perfect or try to have things a certain way, you're constantly outside of the moment. You're constantly striving for that or trying to fix that, past and in the future. The present doesn't even exist in those moments. I had my list in life. Did anybody else have lists in life of what it was that they planned on achieving by certain ages? I'm really good like that. Like, I was so organized, very meticulous. You wouldn't know it right now. I was so organized and meticulous. Everything had I had my filing cabinet and everything filed and organized. Everything from, I knew where, like warranty items for my house were, and every year taxes was done perfectly. Yes, progress, not perfection, totally. And whenever I needed to get things done, I wrote my lists and I check them off. Now, of course, lists don't have to happen every single day, but if you have memos and you can do that right off, I mean, that in itself will actually give us that rush of happy hormones, getting things that we set out to do. When you achieve a goal, you create your own reward system. So you're going to get a chemical infusion of dopamine and happiness and, oh, look at me, I did it, and that's beautiful. That's what we should strive for, is achieving the goals we set out to, but not the perfection of how they should look. Who would have thought that at this point in my life, I'd be where I am, having always wanted to be the professional and have a great job and yada, 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 right? Here was the list. After a certain age, I set out to achieve buying a house before the age of 25. I did that really easy. I think it was 23. Because I wanted to be successful, and my idea of success was meeting the goals that I had written down. I had a whole slew of them. And then I'll tell you what the funny part was, is one day I woke up and realized somehow I stopped writing the list, or that my list was crossed off mostly. And I'm shaking my head going, what just happened? When did that happen? And how did I lose sight? I'd like to say it was because I was living in the moment and I was being rather present, but the reality was I was distracted with things, stuff, acquiring. Because when I lived in Naples, Italy, for example, I was working a particular job, and it was about a status, and it was about, making a certain amount of money and driving a certain car and hanging out with a certain type of people and wearing certain types of clothes. Now, I have a huge appreciation for great quality stuff. I love certain brands, I admit that. We're only human, we like what we like. But how much I accumulated, and now I'm sitting here in all this clutter and all this mess with less room to share, to spread it out and go through it. And I'm shaking my head going, now how can I most efficiently transition this energy, and that it brings in what I need and I can release it to someone who can also utilize it in another way. It's these different things. It's like, and I'll be honest, here's one of my little perfectionisms. I take care of my stuff. My mother raised me to appreciate and value. You bought certain clothes, you would alter, you would make it fit to your size. My mother was beautiful. Oh, my mom has amazing taste, y'all. She can find vintage clothing that is absolutely gorgeous, just the most perfect, tailored, fit me perfect. Like, she may not see me for a while, but she can pick up a tailored suit coat from like the 40s, the 30s, whatever genre, because I was very much into the old styles. I loved, the nice form fitting, come cinching at the waist, and the flares and the skirts and the pants, but especially the blazers, these beautiful coats and jackets my mother would get me. With the dresses, she would find it and it would fit to a T. Didn't even need tailoring. That's how good my mother was and is. And so it's ironic how we can be so attached to these things, and then why are we still holding on to them? There's so much more life to live. And so my perfectionism is I want to be able to look at it. I'm going to go through a grieving process with a lot of my stuff, y'all. I have some really beautiful pieces that I've maintained. I've kept in boxes. They're still in amazing, immaculate condition, like worn a few times. Some things worn more than a few times and still look like they're brand new. And then there's the question of, I don't know about y'all, but see, because of the way I was raised, it's like, well, I paid this much for them and they're really well taken care of. See, sometimes you see people will think that their stuff is worth more than it really is. And a lot of times they don't take very good care of it. I've seen that. But at the same time, I poured so much love and appreciation into what I've earned, what I actually acquired in my life, because nobody else will ever value your stuff or you the way you do. So there's another little piece, P-I-E-C-E, in finding your peace. There's nothing wrong if you value something more than someone else, or that somebody doesn't appreciate or value what you have or have done or who you are. The key is in knowing it yourself. And that's where you're going to find your inner peace. More than anything else is that you don't expect someone else to validate or do it for you. Right? That's a funny story, Kelly, because I can relate to that. Not wearing the same clothes twice. Let me tell you, I had wardrobes of hung up clothes that when I worked at the base in Naples and I would get dressed up for work, I don't think I could go months without wearing the same thing just because of that, right? But I love to dress up, and that I admit too. I love to get dressed up. I like to get elegant, put a little makeup on. Don't we feel pretty, ladies, when we do that? And men too. Oh, come on. I love a nice sharp dress, man, don't y'all? It's not a bad thing. But don't let it take you out of your peace for a piece of something in a perfect mentality, right? And so I guess I've kind of scrolled around, but pretty much this is really about going back to, don't let perfectionism keep you from being present. You know, don't look for perfect circumstances to do things. That's just going to keep you separate. That's the duality of life. We're always seeking and striving and doing as opposed to being and appreciating, right? So the real peace can only be found within yourself. And don't poo-poo on yourself and say, well, I don't have any peace because I'm not this and I'm not that. Again, that's perfectionism and ideals that it have to be a certain way for me to feel peaceful. All you have to do is recognize that just like love, it's an innate nature within you. That the peace means being still and no judgment and no pushing away, but embracing and accepting and honoring all that you are. Nobody else can do that for you. I've learned that over time. It didn't happen overnight, and it's constant. Like every once in a while I go through motions of where I'm worried about what someone else is thinking, and I have to kind of catch myself and go, why am I doing that? And I've done well so far in my life, and so why would I ever put so much power or responsibility upon another person to give me the peace or to validate or make me feel better about myself and my worth, when in reality that's all I can do. I can show up in that space, and when I show up in that space, I'm doing it for others too, and that is so, so true. So here's a little special, sweet, I find it's kind of like, if you can really find this amaret, this nectar, this sweet nectar within life, that when you catch your thoughts getting all negative, or how about this, you've got friends and family that you supposedly know so well that you already know what to expect of them. When you hold them accountable to your expectations, they will show up to meet them. And that means even the stuff that drives you crazy, ticks you off, and takes you out of your peace. But when you release it and you breathe through it and go, you know what? I'm going to find the divine in this moment here and now. I'm disallowing the to take me out of this moment. And so just breathing through it, and even if they aren't in a space of peace, you yourself can influence that. And you do, because when you stay true to what really feels good inside of you, it ripples out, baby. You can be, oh, that was kind of cool. I like it sometimes when I drive by with the music and I can kind of get a little jam on. Oh, the sunset is amazing tonight. Yeah, you know, we put so much pressure on ourselves, Kelly. We really, truly do. I know I am like the hardest on myself, and even anybody who thinks they can put anything on top of me will only, that's one of my old triggers. I'm already hard enough on myself, and I don't think I'm the only one. It's something in the ego that says when someone else tries to put something on top of your stuff that you're already doing to you, it tends to make you go, ah! But then even in that case, you sometimes have to remind yourself, would you rather be happy or would you rather be right? And if you want to be right, which is to react to it and say, how dare you, then you're going to just allow yourself to be taken out of your peace. And it's something that you have done yourself. The other person didn't actually do it. It's just how you reacted to it. So it's really always a choice in how we show up for life, and especially how we show up for ourselves. Oh, so beautiful. So I hope you're finding the peace on this tasty Tuesday. I could really use some tacos, but I made up some jicama the other day. Oh my gosh, so Mercury retrograde, right, Elizabeth? How are you, honey? Haven't seen you in a while. Mwah! This particular Mercury retrograde too, I mean, it is the ruler of communication. And so in your closest relationships, any which ones that you have, make sure that you are kind, compassionate, and loving, first with your inner dialogue and then with your outer dialogue. Because you're going to find the more compassionate and kind and loving you are to yourself and to others, it's a ripple again. When you do it in the inside, it just naturally comes out on the outside. Just like, you know, when you tell yourself how much you love yourself and you really work on doing it, not just saying it, because sometimes it starts out with the saying, because we have to create a habit that actually feels right and feels true. That when we show up for ourselves, we're able to show others how we need it done for us too. And also, sometimes, if you want to be treated a certain way, you have to treat others in a similar fashion so they come back at you with that same treatment you wish to receive. So, you know, the do unto others as you want done unto you, you're going to find peace in that as well. Om Mani Padme Om, right? I love that. That's a great mantra. I really like that one, actually. So, yeah, I found that life is not so bad sometimes. Yeah, just find that peace within. You don't need to go outside of yourself. When you can cultivate and find that inner peace, you're just going to inspire others as well. It really is. The peace within is the peace you create out. Right? So I'm going to share with you, if you can hopefully see this beautiful sun. I don't know that this is always the best. It's kind of difficult to see over there, but that is the sunset here. Isn't that amazing? Truly, truly blessed. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I'm going to wrap this up with loving intentions and tell you that I hope you find your peace within. No peace is outside either. So I love you, love you, love you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Hugs, kisses.